Well, it's Happy New Year, Hitmen fans, as it's time to bring on another episode of Hi there, Spread Hornby here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel here, and this is the first episode of my Calgary Hitmen 6 for 2020 here, and the Calgary Hitmen and the WHL had a little break there in the holidays here, but now it's time to get back to hockey here. And in this episode here, there's actually going to be a lot of Hurricanes, Tigers, and the little Oil Kings here, as those are the only three teams that the Hitmen have played in this 6-game segment here. However, there's actually a trade I'm going to have to talk about here, as there's going to be a trade in the middle of this video here too. So of course, everything. If you enjoy everything that you see me do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and follow along here. And as I said, Calgary Sports is the main thing I do, including game recaps and trades here. And lately, with even all four of my Calgary teams here, they have made a trade here, and the Hitmen are definitely no exception here. So let's bring up my notes here, as this is Season 2, Episode number 7 here, where Games 31 through 36 of the 2019-20 WHL season is covered here. And there'll be the last few games of 2019 and the first few games of 2020 here, as we're getting past the halfway point of the WHL season here, and now here we are into 2020 here. So let's start talking about the past 6 games here, and do what I usually do here. So Game 31, this happened on Friday, December the 27th here. It's the first game back from Christmas here. So this was at the MX Center in Lethbridge. So it was a 7 p.m. puck drop here, and this game here, both teams had early goals here. First, the Lethbridge opens up the scoring past the 3.5-minute mark, when it was Coltrane Wilson who scored. But James Malm for the Calgary Hitmen ties it up 4.5 minutes later. And then Lethbridge actually got 2 more goals in the second half of the first period here. First, it was Dino Kambits past the 12-minute mark, and Alex Cotton 3.5 minutes later. So Lethbridge takes actually a 3-1 lead after the first period here. Second period, the Calgary Hitmen do eventually get back into this one and ties it up here. There was Orca Weisblad, who got his 11th of the season at the time, at the 4.5-minute mark. And then Jet Wu, just before the 11-minute mark, makes it a 3-3 game. So it was 3-3 after the second period here. Third period here, Calgary continued their better play, looking for the go-ahead goal. Calgary actually got their first lead of this game at the midway point of the third period, as Riley Stotts, his 16th, gives Calgary a 4-3 lead. However, the Lethbridge Hurricanes did get a goal fairly late in the third period on the power play, as Justin Hall scores at the 16-minute mark, and this one needed overtime, as this one was 4-4 going into overtime here. In overtime, it was exactly at the 3-minute mark, when it was Dino Kambits who scored again, the winner for Lethbridge. So Lethbridge took this game 5-4 in overtime here. Calgary did outshoot the Lethbridge Hurricanes 30-22 in this one, including Calgary had a 2-1 shot advantage in overtime here. But as you know, Lethbridge just needed the one shot there. Calgary was led away by Riley Stotts, who had a goal and 2 assists here, and Mark Caslett chipped in with 2 assists. Well, Lethbridge, they were led by Dino Kambits with 2 goals, and Alex Stacker had 3 assists, as well as Logan Bartlig had 2 assists here. For the goaltending here was Jack Minodin, that actually started for the Calgary Hitmen here, but he was pulled after allowing 3 goals and 12 shots in the first period there. And it was Braden Peters who took over the rest of the game and made 10 saves there, while it was Carl Tediuk for Lethbridge who made 26 saves for the game there. So yeah, and I also keep in mind here that the Calgary Hitmen are behind in the Central Division, the Edmonton Oil Kings, Lethbridge Hurricanes, and Medicine Hat Tigers here. So and we got a heavy dose of them, as I mentioned in this video here. So this was game 31. So 32. This happened on Saturday, December 28th here, as the Calgary Hitmen were going down the Crowsnest Highway to take on the Medicine Tigers at the Canalta Center. That's a 7:30 puck drop here, and this was the second game on the road here. And Medicine used a very strong first period in this game here. First, it was James Hamlin who opens up the scoring for Medicine Hat, past the 4-minute mark, and then they got two more at the midway point. First was Jonathan Brinkman at the 10.5-minute mark, and then Brett Kemp just before the 12-minute mark. And Medicine Hat took a 3-0 lead after the first period there. And after the first period, there was only one more goal in the whole game here, and Calgary actually was able to get on the board as Josh broke up just past the midway point, makes it 3-1 Medicine Hat after two periods there. There was no scoring in the third period, so Medicine Hat ultimately took this one 3-1 here. So all they needed to do was get their scores in the first period there in this one. Also to note that Hunter Campbell is back in the lineup, but he took a major penalty here early in the third period for charging. So Hunter Campbell was actually battling an injury here just before this episode here, so he's back in the lineup here. Actually, Calgary outshot the Medicine Tigers 34-30 in this game. It was Braden Peters who was in net for Calgary. He made 27 saves, while Made Sogard for Medicine made 33 saves. So so far things are not looking too good here in terms of catching up in the Central Division here. So the game 33, this happened on Monday, December the 30th here, as the Calgary Hitmen were taking on the Edmonton Oil Kings, and this was at the Scotiabank Saddledome at 7 p.m. here, and this was the third game over the weekend here, third game 4 nights here, but this one wound up being a very entertaining one overall here. Edmonton did open up the scoring here, past the as Jake Neighbors scored just past the minute-and-a-half mark, so it was early in the game. Edmonton already had a lead here. However, it was Carson Fook who tied it up 5 minutes later to make it 1-1 here, and that was the score after the first period, so it was a 1-1 game here. Second period featured most offense in this game. First, Calgary was able to get the next two goals. First, it was on Tessiero just before the 2-minute mark, so Calgary scored early in the second period here. And then Evan Toth, who scored for Calgary just after the 8-minute mark. So it was 3-1 Calgary here at this point. However, Edmonton did tie things up with the next two goals. First, it was Vladimir Olstrov past the 14-minute mark, and Josh Williams just past the 2 minutes later. So Edmonton scored two goals late in the second period to tie this game up at 3-3 here. However, actually, Calgary was able to regain the lead here, because after the Josh Williams goal, Orca Weisblad scored for Calgary literally 41 seconds later here. So Calgary actually took a 4-3 lead going into the third period here. So things were looking good for Calgary here. Edmonton had to jump in the first period, while Calgary did answer back in the second period there. So we'll see what the third period has to store here. In the third period, Edmonton was actually pressing back, looking to tie it up here. However, it was Jet Wu that you can maybe say scored a dagger just before the 10.5-minute mark to give Calgary a 5-3 lead here. And that's how this one ended, as the Calgary Hitmen actually was able to beat the Edmonton Oil Kings with a 5-3 win here. Edmonton actually did outshoot the Calgary Hitmen 32-26 in this game here. Calgary got 2 assists each from Josh Prokop and James Malm here. So when it comes to goaltending here, well, Jack Minot made 29 saves for Calgary, while Sebastian Cossa made 21 saves for Edmonton here. So that wraps up 2019 part of the schedule here. So now we're heading into 2020 here. This game happened game 34. This was on Wednesday, January the 1st here, as the Calgary Hitmen were taking on the Medicine Tigers here. This was at the Scotiabank Saddledome with 1 p.m. puck drop, New Year's hockey here. And it was actually Medicine Hat that opened up the scoring very, very early. Let's say the first 10 seconds in, as Lucas Zaravosky scores to make it 1-0 for Medicine Hat. And that was all the scoring in the first period there. So Medicine Hat scored very early and took a 1-0 lead here. So it was 1-0 Medicine Hat after the first period here. Calgary did tie it up in the second period as Jonas Pederik passed the 9.5-minute mark and that was the other goal in the second period, so it was 1-1 after 2 periods here. Third period had the bulk of the offense here, so if you liked goals here, you have to wait till the third period here. First, it was Hunter Campbell that gives Calgary the lead past the 5.5-minute mark, but it was Mesnat who tied it up later, just past the 8-minute mark by Ryan Schwabsky. So it was 2-2 there at this point here. Calgary was able to get the lead again as Mark Kaslik, who scored his 19th goal at the time, passed him in Mayort, and Sean Teshigirl added one more just before the 14-minute mark, and Calgary takes this one 5-3. So ultimately, the Hitmen won this game 5-3 here, or I should say 4-2. I made a mistake in my note here, so it was actually 4-2 here, not 5-3, because it was still a 2-goal win, but 4-2 here. Calgary wins. Mesnat did outshoot Calgary 34-29 in this game. Calgary did get a couple assists by James Malm. And for goaltending here was Jack Minot, who made 32 saves for Calgary, while Matt Sogard made 25 saves for Mesnat here. And then the next day here, the Calgary Hitmen made a trade here. As actually the Calgary Hitmen, they traded for James Malm, a 2020 second-round pick and a conditional 2022 fourth-round pick to the Tri-City Americans, for a local guy for Kyle Olsen here. So both teams did trade both 20-year-olds, so both players are in their last season of their eligibility in the WHL here. I'm not too sure what the condition is on the fourth round 2022 draft pick here. I didn't find anything. However, as I read later in this trade here, you might find out maybe why we threw in a few more draft picks here. As both players put up similar offensive numbers here, but they were struggling this season here, and both teams maybe were looking for a change here. And I say Carl Olsen is actually from Calgary, while James Malm was from Langley, BC here. I'm going to say both teams, I said, traded 20-year-old players here. Carl Olsen is listed number 60 in the program, and actually was drafted by the Anaheim Ducks in 2017 at the 4th round, 122nd overall here. So we pick up another guy that has affiliate with NHL here. Carl Olsen, he comes here this season. He had 16 games played. He has 5 goals, 9 assists for 14 points this season. Overall, he played his whole WHL with the Tri-City Americans overall here. And he played 205 games, and he scored 53 goals, 116 points assists for 169 points. And then in the playoffs, in 19 playoff games, he has 4 goals, 6 assists for 10 points here. However, last season was his best offensive numbers here, as Kyle Olsen in 63 games, he scored 21 goals, 49 assists for 70 points here, so that was his best season. Kind of similar to James Malm here. However, James Malm, we are trading to the Tri-City Americans here in 21 games played here. He battled some injuries this season here. He had 3 goals, 14 assists for 17 points this season. And overall, he played both with the Vancouver Giants and the Calgary Hitmen. He came to the Calgary Hitmen in a trade last season, early in the season here, so he's played parts of 2 seasons with the Calgary Hitmen. Overall, in his WHL career, in 251 games played, he has 76 goals, 137 assists for 213 points, and that's talking about James Malm here. And in playoffs here, in 18 games, he has 4 goals, 5 assists for 9 points. While he played 7 playoff games with the Vancouver Giants, and he played 11 games all last season with the Calgary Hitmen there. Last season was James Malm's most impressive season offensively here, as in 64 games played, he scored 34 goals, 43 assists for 77 points. Between Vancouver, we played his first 13 games, and 51 games with the Calgary Hitmen. Although he was not affiliated with an NHL team here, he actually did take part in Calgary Flames prospects camp and training camp before he got released and went back to the Hitmen here. However, maybe the reason why some draft picks were involved here is because both players are both 20-year-olds, and they're both done in the WHL regardless after the season here, as each team can only carry 3 20-year-olds, 1999 born players at this stage now. Apparently James Malm refused to actually report to the Tri-City Americans in this, and he's been suspended in the by the WHL here. So at least maybe they got some draft picks here. Calgary knew that they wanted him, and not quite sure because we gave up more to get Carl Olsen here. Carl Olsen in this segment has not made his Calgary Hitmen debut yet, so let's talk about the trade that we made here as we traded away James Malm and a couple draft picks for Carl Olsen, and we'll see how this pays dividends for both teams here, but already, I mean, we're waiting for Carl Olsen to make his Hitman debut, and James Malm refused to report to the Tri-City Americans, and the league suspended him, so see what transpires out of that. So that's the trade here. So going back to the final two games in the 6-game segment here. Game 35, this happened on Friday, January 3rd here, as the Calgary Hitmen were taking on the Medicine Hat Tigers back on the road to start off the weekend at the Penalta Center. That was a 7:30 puck drop here. And Medicine Hat came out very strong to start as Elijah Brown scores at past the 4.5 minute mark. And James Hamlin scored 3 minutes later, so Medicine Hat took a early 2-0 lead after one here. They also outshot the Calgary Hitmen 21-5 in the first period alone here, so Medicine Hat definitely came out swinging in this game. Second period, Medicine Hat added a couple more goals here. It was James Hamlin again, just before the 3.5 minute mark, and Elijah Brown again, so they already got 2 goal scorers in this game. And Elijah Brown's goal came just after the 8.5 minute mark, so Medicine Hat had a 4-0 lead. At this point, about the midway point of the game here, Calgary was able to get one just past the 10.5 minute mark, and it was 4-1 Medicine Hat after 2 periods here. Third period featured 2 early goals. First, it was Jonathan Brinkman for Medicine Hat at the first minute and a half here, and it was Blake Allen that scored for Calgary past the 3 minute mark. However, that wasn't enough as Medicine Hat actually took this game 5-2 here. Medicine Hat also outshot the Calgary Hitmen overall 37-22 here, including the 21-5 in the first period here. Medicine Hat was led by Elijah Brown and James Hamlin, who each had 2 goals each here, while Carson Hopo chipped in with 2 assists, and this was all for the Medicine Hat Tigers here. Jack Minot made 32 saves for Calgary, while Nate Sogard made 20 saves for Medicine Hat here, so that was game 35. Game 36, this will be the last game of this 6-game segment here. This happened on Saturday, January 4th here, as the Calgary Hitmen were taking on the Lethbridge Hurricanes on the road at the MX Center, 7 p.m. puck drop here, and second weekend game on the road here. This game featured a goaltending duel as there wasn't much offense to report here. However, in the first period, Lethbridge did open up the scoring as there was still some offense, and it wasn't until the 12.5 minute mark when it was Justin Hall that scored. But Arco Weisblatt for Calgary ties things up just before the 16.5 minute mark. So we had a 1-1 game after the first period here. Say's Lethbridge started off as the better team, but Calgary took over afterwards the rest of the game here. Second period, there wasn't any offense as both goaltenders were up to the task, but Calgary was getting more shots on net, as that after Lethbridge did in the first period here. The only thing to highlight in the second period here is late in the period at 18:37, it was Mark Kaslick for Calgary and Coltrane Wilson for Lethbridge, who took Fighting Majors, I should say. So it was a 1-1 game after the second period there. Third period, Calgary continued to look for the go-ahead goal, and as they really outplayed Lethbridge. But just like the second period, there wasn't any offense here, so this one needed overtime as the game was tied at 1-1 here. In overtime, it only took 18 seconds to decide it, as that was actually Mark Kaslick who scored for Calgary. That was his 20th goal of the season here. Won it for Calgary, so Calgary took this one 2-1 here. Calgary also shot Lethbridge overall, 35-28. Couldn't take the only shot in overtime here, as it was only 18 seconds in. Braden Peters for Calgary made 27 saves, while Carl Chekyuk, actually also mentioned for Braden Peters, he also had an assist in this game, while Carl Chekyuk made 33 saves for Lethbridge here. So after 36 games here, Calgary Hitmen, where they stand here, well, then they have a 19-12 4-1 record where they won 19, lost 12, and lost 4 in overtime, won in a shootout here for 43 points. He puts them 4th in the Central Division behind Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, and Edmonton here. They're in the first Eastern Conference wildcard here, so they're in pretty good shape in the wildcard spot here. but they're 9 points behind Medicine Hat to be in the top 3 in the division here. So I think the way this segment played out and the competition here, I think the Calgary Hitmen are likely going to be in this wild card spot here for the rest of the season. Still be in the playoffs, but be starting on the road here. And there was no injuries to report. Actually, everybody's healthy right now. I mean, I know the one player that is playing in the World Juniors in the Czech Republic is Igor Zamula, the defenseman there for Russia. So that's why he hasn't played as many games here. But let's go take a look at some player stats here, shall we? As leading scorer right now for the Calgary Hitmen is Riley Stotts. In 36 games, he has 16 goals, 22 assists for 38 points here. And then next is the captain, Mark Kaslik. He's only played 30 games. He had some injuries here towards the end of last episode. In 30 games, he has 20 goals, 15 assists for 35 points here. And then the third in scoring is Oka Weisblad. In 36 games, he has 13 goals, 21 assists for 34 points. And then fourth is Carson Fook. In 33 games, he has 18 goals, 12 assists for 30 points here. And then the round up the top 5 is Igor Zamula in 28 games, as he's been playing for Russia at the World Junior Hockey Championship here. In 28 games, he has 7 goals, 21 assists for 28 points here. So that's your top 5 here, as Mark Kaslik leads the team in goals with 20, while it's actually it is Riley Stotts who leads the team in assists with 22 there. So for the goaltending here, I'll just bring up all the other. It's just when you go on the Hitman Hockey website here, it hides some numbers right away here. So let's bring up some stats here before we look ahead to the next 6 games. So the leading goalie, obviously, is Jack Naughton here. He's 13-4-1-1 here, so he's definitely the leading goalie here, with a 321 goals against average and an 884 save percentage here. While Braden Peters is the backup here. He's 5-7-2, so Braden Peters definitely, usually the backup goalie also maybe plays the weaker opponents as well. So his record is not 500 here, but his goals against average is 258 and the save percentage is 904. But usually the backup goalie also faces weaker opposition too. So I mean, Jack Benotham's played in 22 games, while Braden Peters is actually a rookie as well, played in 14 games. So that's just a quick statistical story for the Calgary Hitmen here. I felt this season, the same with the Calgary Flames games, that I'm not going to do it every episode because I felt it got too redundant there. So I'll do it like every so many episodes, and I felt this was the right time to do it. So now let's look ahead to the next 6 games for the Calgary Hitmen here, as I feel like they have a little more easier schedule here when it comes to making up ground, because they're playing a few more teams that are actually below them in the standings here. So game 37, this is on Sunday, January 5th here, as the Calgary Hitmen come home here to take on the Moose Jaw Warriors. That was a 4 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome here. And then game 38, this will be on Friday, January the 10th here, as the Calgary Hitmen will be playing the Lethbridge Hurricanes. That'll be a 7 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome here. And then on Sunday, January the 12th here, that'll be game 39. The Calgary Hitmen will be taking on the Swift Current Broncos. So that'll be a 2 p.m. puck drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome here. And then game 40, the Calgary Hitmen on Wednesday, January 5th, will be on the road here, as they will be going to Swift Current. Take on the Swift Current Broncos at the Innovation Credit Union iPlex. That'll be a 6 p.m. puck drop here. As you know, all my times are Mountain Time. And then game 41 on Friday, January the 17th here. The Calgary Hitmen will continue being on the road as they take on the Brandon Wheat Kings at the Westobia Place. That'll be a 6:30 puck drop. And then game 42, which will be episode 8, will be on Saturday, January the 18th. The Calgary Hitmen will be taking on the Winnipeg Ice. In Winnipeg here, the first time we'll be playing the ice as Winnipeg Ice. This is at the Wayne Fleming Arena at 6:30 p.m. And yes, it's that Wayne Fleming, the former hockey coach that unfortunately died of brain cancer here, who was actually part of the coaching staff here when he worked with Jim Playfair and Mike Keenan with the Calgary Flames for a couple seasons. And I know the last team that he worked for in the NHL level was the Tampa Bay Lightning before found he had cancer and had to fight for his life and ultimately lost his life. So yeah, it's that same Wayne Fleming that the arena is named after him, as he's born in Manitoba there. So yeah, that's this latest episode of my Calgary Hitmen in 6 here, and I'm going to say we definitely played some tougher teams in this segment here, so we were pretty much still maintaining where we are, 4th place in the first wild card there. And yeah, what do you think of the trade? I mean, hopefully maybe we can add a little more pop here, as both teams were trading struggling forwards here. And yeah, I mean, what do you think of everything in general here? So of course, if you enjoy everything I do on my YouTube channel, just make sure you hit like, subscribe, and follow along here. I do Calgary sports and recaps and trades. In this case, I felt it was appropriate for that. I do junior hockey, and not as many people watch my junior hockey stuff. That I'll just mash everything in here. I mean, I know I made my trade videos where Calgary traded away Michael Frolik when talking about the Flames, and then Stampeders traded away Nick Arbuckle's his rights to the Ottawa Red Blacks here. But a few more people watched those other videos, and I felt it warranted a separate video for that. And actually, the Roughnecks also made a trade, but I'm going to talk about that in the next episode of my Calgary Roughnecks this month, when I recap the month of January here. So I say I'm a Calgary sports fan, but I also do some personal vlogs, attempt a comedy, and share my experiences on my smartphone, either at sporting events or when I'm on the road here. So if that sounds like everything you enjoy, just make sure you hit like and follow along here with that bell icon. And if you're watching up to this point and if you subscribe, thanks so very much. And as I say, now we're just into the new year here, and my winter break is wrapping up, and it's worked out that I've actually, so far in 2020, I've posted something every day here. But I said now we're in the very, very last day, and I get back to work here, which means I made my update video that I just gave you my plans here. But the big thing is that I was going to upload as much as I can during the winter break, but now the winter break's over, that I'm going to go back to my regular uploading frequency, that I'm only going to be uploading maybe a couple of videos on the weekends, as that's when I have the most time to make videos here. And I'll do game recaps as they're due, and maybe post a major story, let's say a trade or signing or any movement of personnel there. And if it's big enough, I'll make a separate video about that as soon as possible here. But I'm getting back to just uploading a couple videos weekly on the weekends there. So I won't be posting as much here now that, work is coming up, life is getting back to normal here. And so yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot more to chew on here the last couple of weeks, but that's not the new normal. Is I had a little more time to make videos, and I enjoy doing this. And as I say, thanks for watching here. Let's go Hitmen, and it's just kind of a lot of catching up here with the Calgary Hitmen, as they are back. They're also back from their winter break, and the drive for the playoffs here, and hopefully we'll need to get the Hitmen playoff train ready again this season, as things are looking good. That at least we'll get the train going, and hopefully, we had a great run last season as we got to the second round, but there's still a lot more hockey to be played here, and we'll see here. So as I say, I'll see you in the next video here, and hopefully everything is all working out for you up to this point, and hopefully the best for everybody in 2020 here. So see you then.